Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me to this H50 webinar on the year-end 2024. My name is Ivana. I'm going to be your host today. I am joined by my colleague Dorcas. Hello, Dorcas.
Hello,
Dorcas,
good morning. Hello, good morning.
Dorcas is going to be there to help me answer your questions. So as you can see, your microphone is disabled as well as the chat option, but you can send us your questions in the Q&A. Dorcas is gonna try to answer your questions directly online by replying to your post. But we also have a time at the end of the presentation where we will go over the most important questions just at the end, vocally at the end of the presentation. So this presentation is recorded. You will be able to see the recording on the Community Hub. There's already a presentation that's been uploaded to it you can access, as well as the PowerPoint. So let's start. So today we're going to talk about everything linked to the year-end for Sage 50 Canada. So I'm going to present you the year-end center that we created to help answer your questions. I'm also going to talk about installing the new software and give you the top tips on how to make sure you're installing it correctly and to do the conversion properly. Then I'm going to talk on how to prepare for the year-end, both for finish the payroll year-end for 2024, but also prepare for the fiscal year-end. Then I'm going to talk about the resources that you can access directly online. And as I said, after I will answer your questions with Dorcas. So first, let's talk about the year-end center. What is this? So the year-end center is a website that we created where we regrouped all of the answers to the questions we get at this time of year every year. So the year-end center is accessible directly online, and it contains all of the facts about what you will need to know for the year-end. It contains learning with free videos that you can access to learn about all of those steps that you can do in Sage 50 for the year-end. You will have all of the updates, so the download links for the softwares, every announcement, every news about the update, everything is going to be posted over there. And you also have checklists where you can see step by step what to do and how to do it in Sage 50 to prepare for the year end and start the new year. So this is extremely important, and I will show it to you in more details at the end of the presentation. So I'm now going to talk about the installation of the software. So a lot of you may have already installed the 2025.0 update. It was released in October. The 2025.1 update is now available to everyone. So those steps are going to be extremely important because it concerns everyone that needs to update from 2024 to 2025.0 or 2025.1. And some things also are important from converting from 2025.0 to 2025.1, the update that was released this week. So first thing you need to know, you can install the 2025 software even if you haven't finished the year. So if you're still working in 2024, that is okay to install the 2025 software. The updates will not affect the dates in your file. It will just upgrade the background of the file so that the software can run with the most up-to-date information in the background. It will not affect your data. But there's a few things you need to do before doing this update to make sure you can run it properly. And one of those things may be a bit different for some of you if you haven't had that step before, but this is going to be mandatory. You will need to check the primary email address registered in the file to be able to do the conversion and the proper conversion to the 2025 software. So I'm going to show you how to check this email and how it works. Then you will have to check that the product update is ready to be installed, and you will have to do a backup of your data. So how to check what is the primary user email address? So as I said, during the update, the software will ask you to log in to that email address if you have one registered in the file. So how to check what is the primary email address? You need to go into Setup and then Setup Users. In there, you're going to see the primary user is always named sysadmin for system administrator. And if you see an email on the right, that means that an email address was registered for that user. If when you go into modify user, you see the email is grayed out, you cannot change it, that means that the file is connected to the cloud service and that email will be requested when doing the update. If the email is grayed out, but it is incorrect, it is the email of a former employee, a former bookkeeper, you need to change it, you will have to contact support so we can help you update that email. So this is extremely important, and this is going to be mandatory with the 2025.1 update. The second step is to check if the product update is ready to be installed. So to do so, you need to go into the Help menu and check for product updates. If the update is ready to be installed, you will have this window that says that it's ready and you will be prompted to install it when closing Sage 50. If it's not, you will have another window with a download now option where you can click on download now and it will download the update, and then a few minutes later you can go back into help, check product update, and check that you have this message that appears. Once you have this message, the update is ready to be installed. Before doing the installation, you will have to do a backup for safety reasons. So to do a backup, you can go into File, Backup. You can choose the name of the backup and the location. That way you know where the backup is going to be saved in case you need to go back to it. And then once you choose both of those options, you can click on OK to do the backup. Once you've done those 3 steps, you can start the installation by closing Sage 50. You will have a window asking if you want to do the installation now. You can click on Install Now. And the 2025 wizard installation will open automatically. And you can click on Next on those steps to install the 2025 software. Once you have the 2025 software installed, you can click on Finish. And then you can reopen your file. You will be brought to this window where it will show you the current version that you're on and the next version that you're updating to. The software will also do another backup. It is best to keep this option checked. Even if you did a backup before, we never have enough backups. You can just click on Start on this window. And that is where the software will ask you to log in with the email address that you verified before and the password attached to it. If you don't remember the password or the system it tells you that it doesn't recognize the email address or the password, you can just reset the password by clicking on the Forgot Password option. It will send you an email and you can just re-update the password. Once you've connected, the file will open with the new version of the software. So I've talked about all of those steps, but I'm going to show you directly in a file what it looks like. So I'm going to switch to my software. So as I said, we need to check, the first step is to check the email address and make sure you wrote down what is that email address. So to do so, you need to go into Setup, Setup Users, and it will bring you this window where the primary user, as I said, is the sysadmin with potentially an email address that appears there. It doesn't matter if you have other users, if you share the file with other people. In any case, only the sysadmin and the primary email address will be able to do the update. So it's really important that this email address is used during the conversion. And as I said, you can check by going into modify user. You can check if the email address is if the file is connected to the cloud with this email address by checking if this is grayed out. So in this case, the file, the email address is grayed out. So my file will ask me for this email address when I do the update. So what I did is just wrote down the email address. I keep a copy of it. I know what email address I need to use. And so everything is correct for me. So I can just close my file. And now I can check if the update is ready to be installed. So to do so, I go into the help menu and I go into check for product updates. So once I click on this, the software is going to think and the update is ready to be installed. So that's perfect. I can just do the last step I need to do, which is to do a backup by going into File, Backup. And so because we're doing a presentation, I already did my backup to have more time to do to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. But as I said, make sure that you choose a name and a location that you know, and then you can click on OK to do the backup. In my case, I'm going to cancel because I've already done the backup earlier today. So now that I've done the 3 steps, I can just close my file. So I can go to File Exit or just the X at the top right corner. And once I've done this, the software should tell me that it's, there we go. So the update is ready to be installed. Do I want to install it now? I can because I've done the three steps. So I'm going to click Install Now. I already did my backup, so I don't need to do another one right now. And now I just let the software run. So my security system is asking if I want to allow this app. I can say yes. And now the wizard is mostly going to run by itself to do the installation. Okay, so I do need to agree to the terms of the license. So you can read, and then once you've read the agreement, you can accept it and click on Next. You can click on Next also on this step. This is a step I will talk about. It creates a shortcut on your desktop that we'll talk about a bit later during the presentation. And once I've clicked on Next on those steps, the software is installing itself. So it creates a new icon for the Sage 2025 because I was using 2024 and the resource icon. Once the installation is done, I can click on Finish and the 2025 software will open itself. It is right now the 2025.1 software because as I said, the 2025.1 update was released this week. So the next thing I need to do is just reopen my file. And so it confirms that I was using the 2024 software and I will upgrade to 2025.1. So I'm just going to click on Start. The software is going to do another copy of the file. And now the software is going to ask for the primary email address. So as I said, I saved it earlier, so I can just use it directly. I can enter my password. As I said earlier, if you don't have the password, you can just reset it with the option right there. And then so I can log in. If you haven't been prompted before, you will be asked to create the two-factor authentication. This is a security step that is mandatory. You will have to link your email account to either an authenticator app or a phone number. In my case, I have an application, so I'm going to go get my code. And now so I have some windows that open up because it's the new installation. But now the software is properly installed and is showing the release 2025.1. I properly updated my file to the newest version of the software. So this is the basic installation on itself. It can be a bit more complicated if you're sharing your file with colleagues. So if you're upgrading from 2024 or before to 2025, you will also need to update the server. If you're moving from 2025.0 to 2025.1, you will not have to update the server. But any upgrade from 2024 or prior to 2025 will require the server to be updated. If you do not update the server, you will not be able to open the file in 2025. You will have a message such as this one that says that the connection manager is not installed on the machine that hosts the data, or that the connection manager needs to be updated. Once you've upgraded a file to 2025, all of the workstations that work on that file will also need to install 2025. They will not be able to use 2024 anymore. And as I said, only the primary user, only the sysadmin is able to convert the files with the primary email address. So why is it important to do the 2025 updates now? Because this is the main update during the year. So during peak season in January, during year-end season, usually your IT department or you yourself in your company, this is a really busy time. So it's easier to do the biggest installation of the software earlier to not be in a time crunch in January. So it's easier if you can do the 2025 update now. As I said, you can still work in 2024 even if you have updated the software to 2025. You should also know that to have access to the tax tables for the 2025 payroll, it will be required to have Security 2025. The Security 2024 will not be updated with those tax tables. So only 2025 will have the 2025 tax tables. If you have any questions, I remind you, you can send them in the Q&A section. Dorcas is trying to answer them directly in the Q&A, and we also will have a time at the end of the presentation to go over your questions. So now I'm going to talk about how to prepare for the year end. So the first thing to know is that there's two types of years in Sage 50. There's a fiscal year and a calendar year. What is a calendar year? As its name says, it goes from January 1st to December 31st. It is used in Sage 50 for the payroll. So when you're going to start a new calendar year, all of the year-to-date payroll information of your employees will be reset to 0. The calendar year is only used for the payroll module. The fiscal year is different. The fiscal year is going to follow your business accounting period. So it really depends of your business. It could follow the dates of the calendar year, or it could be completely different. And what happens when you start a new fiscal year? All of the revenue and expenses accounts are going to be automatically closed. The net loss profit is going to be moved to the retained earning account, and the revenue and expense balances will be reset to 0. So this is your main accounting information outside of payroll. Payroll follows the calendar year. Everything else follows the fiscal year. So let's first talk about what to do to properly finish the 2024 payroll. Once you've entered all of your 2024 paychecks, one of the things to do before starting the new calendar year is going to be to check the data integrity. So the data integrity is the comparison between the account balances and the records that are in your system. I'm going to show you in a few minutes how to do so in the software. Then for the payroll, you're going to have one main report to check, which is the pensionable and insurable earning review, also known as the PI report in the software. This is a report that helps you estimate if the EI and CPP or QPP contributions that were deducted from your employees' paychecks during the year is correct. But this report is only accurate if all of the paychecks were offered to the employees for which they were set up for. So at the beginning of the year, or where your employees were hired, they were assigned a pay period, which is how often they're paid. If they're paid monthly, they receive one paycheck a month, they would have been set up for 12 pay periods. But if that employee started mid-year, obviously they didn't receive 12 paychecks. So the PI report will not be reliable. The PI report only works if the employee received the 12 paychecks for the 12 pay periods. Otherwise, the PI report will say that there's something wrong when it could be totally correct. It's just that the PI report is not accurate in those situations. Same thing if you change the pay period settings during the year. Maybe the employee received a bonus check that wasn't, you hadn't anticipated that they would receive a bonus paycheck, so you changed the pay periods during the year. Also, the PI report will not be accurate. So this is something I'm going to show you in the system, but this is definitely a report that you will need to check at the end of the year before you doing your T4s or Runway 1. Once you've done those two steps, you will need to back up your data. And once this is done, you will be able to start the new calendar year. So let's go back in the software. So the first step is to check the data integrity. To do so, you need to go into the maintenance and check data integrity. This page directly shows you what is within the software. It compares the total debits versus the total credits. And on the left side, it shows you the balances of your accounts for the account payable, account receivable, payroll advances, vacation pay. All of those balances are on the left side. And on the right side, you will see the informations that are in the ledgers. So directly in the records, what you've posted from the transactions. So it compares the two, and the two should be identical. If it isn't, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able during this presentation to go through all of those lines, but there are steps to check to find out where the issue is. But usually there is a step that will be done by your accountant, and that will be where your accountant will send you adjusting transactions to post at your end. This is something I'm going to show you a bit later during the presentation where to find more information on this page. So now let's move to the year-end report for the payroll. So it is within the reports menu, payroll, and year-end review peer report. So you need to select all of your employees, select the correct year, and then you can run the report. And on these reports, you will be able to see the gross pay of your employees, the pensionable earnings, the CPP, QPP deductions that were taken from your employees' paychecks during the year. If the software is estimating that they were overpaid or underpaid, and same thing for the CPP2, QPP2, as well as the unshareable earning, the EI that was deducted, and if it was over or under deducted. So on the last column, you will have notes on there where the system will tell you if it does see an issue. So it looks like it's seeing an issue on most lines, but that's maybe too much or not enough CPP. And it looks from what I'm looking directly there, the issue is mainly on this column. If it is only on this column for the CPP QPP calculation. So the main thing I can see is that for most of the employees, the difference is just a few cents difference, which is perfectly normal. The CPP QPP calculation is a calculation that is a bit long, so there might be rounding issues. So it different from a few cents. This is not something you should worry about. So what we can do is modify the report by going into modify report options. And we can ask the CPP to not show us a discrepancy that is smaller than, for instance, $1. So I'm going to click on OK. And now I'm not going to be able to see the rounding issues. So I do see that I still have 2 employees with issues. So what will need to be done is investigate those employees to see where the issue is coming from, make sure that this issue is not being dragged for the next year, because obviously if you have an issue in 2024, we want to prevent having an issue, the same issue for 2025. And we want to see if this report is accurate or not, because you may have to consult an accountant to see with them if you have to do another remittance with the government or fill out a form to get the CPP back that you may have overpaid. So to check this, you can directly double-click on the employee's name, and it will open the employee report that will show you all of the paychecks that were given to the employee during the year. So directly by double-clicking on the employee name, you open the proper report. And what we can see for this employee is that there was 5 paychecks paid during the year. It looks like this employee is paid monthly. So I'm going to go check the ledger for the employee. If I go into the income section, I can see the pay periods per year setup. So the employee, it looks like the employee is paid monthly. So it is correctly set up at 12 pay periods per year. This is the correct setup. The issue is just that the employee hasn't worked the full year. So because of this, the software cannot calculate what the employee might have been paid from another company before working for my company. So obviously the CVP calculation is not accurate for this employee in my file, but the setup is correct. Everything seems to be correct in there. So this is not something you would have to worry about as long as the setting is proper for the employee. Because it hasn't worked for the full year, the PR report indicates an issue, which is not an actual issue. It's just that the system is not able to properly calculate the CVP. So you can just let this, the only thing for this employee is just to check that the setting is correct, which it is. So now we can move to the second employee. So again, we can just double click on the employee's name. That is opening the employee report, and we have a different situation. So this employee, it looks like this employee has received 12 paychecks, one per month. So the pay period should be 12 for the year. So let's go double click on the employee name to see their information. And they are set up right now properly for 12 pay periods. So this is an issue because they received 12 paychecks. The setup is correctly at 12. So something went wrong for this employee during the year, and you might have to consult an accountant to then review the amounts that were remitted to the CRA for the year. So what we're going to need to go with your accountant, you would have to go through the details of the paychecks. And what I can see, for instance, for this employee is that the gross pay is the same for the year, but the CVP is different. So two situations could have been happening. One is maybe at some point I did a software update later during the year that was incorrect. I should have done the software update at the beginning. Or maybe I changed the pay periods in the middle of the year, which changed the calculation. So it looks, if the correct calculation is now with the 12 pay periods now, that means that this amount seems to be correct. Those ones seems to be incorrect. So the employee might have overpaid the CPP during the year. And there is a situation where you need to talk to your accountant or the CRA to resolve this situation. What is going to be extremely important though is make sure that the setting is correct for the new year so you don't have this situation again in 2025. So, but definitely this type of issue, you need to consult your accountant to know how to proceed with remitting the CPP. And also do not ever adjust a paycheck that was posted and given to the employee, because that would create incoherence in your file. That paycheck would have has already been given to the employee. You've already remitted the CPP on it, so modifying it in your file will just create incoherence when you're gonna send the T4s or the relevant one to the government. They will not understand what is going on. This is the information that was the paychecks that were given to the employees. You cannot adjust them after giving the amounts to the employees. So definitely that would be a situation where you need to check with your accountant. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and let's talk about closing the fiscal year. So it starts the same way. You need to check your data integrity. You need to print your financial year-end reports. So your income statement, your balance sheet, all of those reports, you need to print them and save them. You need to make year-end adjustments. So year-end adjustments are adjustments given by your accountant to adjust maybe the data integrity. It is your accountant that will tell you how to post and where to post those adjustments. Obviously, doing them in December before starting the new year is in a perfect world where your accountant would be available by the end of December. Usually that is not the case. Usually you will have those adjustments given to you in maybe 6 months. So the software is meant to handle those type of situations. This step can be done after starting the new year. Sage 50 allows you to post in the current year and one prior year. So you can absolutely start the 2025 year even if you haven't posted your adjustments or even if you haven't entered all your invoices for 2024, that is totally okay. You can still start 2025 and still post transactions in 2024. The system will allow you to do so. So this is those year-end adjustments. You could do them in 6 months. That is perfectly fine. In any case, before starting the new year, you need to do a backup. And then once this is done, you can start the new year. To start the new year. So I just said you can still post invoices in 2024 if you move to 2025. It is slightly different for the payroll information. If you start 2025, you will not be able to do payroll check runs in 2024 anymore because the payroll taxes will only calculate automatically for 2025 and not for 2024 anymore. So the one thing you need to make sure you finished before starting 2025, before starting the new year 2025, the new calendar year 2025, you need to make sure that you've entered all of your paychecks for 2024. This is if you were to start the new calendar year 2025, but haven't posted all of your payroll checks for 2024, you would have to enter them manually and enter the payroll taxes manually. So make sure you finish entering all of your paychecks for 2024 before starting the new calendar year 2025. Always do a backup before starting the new year. And so there's two situations. As I said, it could be that your fiscal year is the same as the calendar year, or the fiscal year could be different from the calendar year. In both cases, you need to go into maintenance, start new year. If the fiscal year is different from the calendar year, you will have this situation where the software is asking you which year you want to start. So you would, at this time of year, you would pick the calendar year 2025. If the fiscal year is the same as the calendar year, and that is where we're back to this warning at the beginning, if you need to start posting invoices for 2025, but you haven't finished the paychecks for 2024, that will be an issue because the fiscal year and the calendar year, if they are on the same dates, January 1st to December 31st, both will start at the same time in Sage 50. You will only have to go in this section once because both will start at the same time. So make sure you finish your payroll, your 2024 payroll before going there and starting the 2025 year. I'm now going to talk about the 2025.1 payroll update, so the one that was released this week. The 2025.1 payroll update is contains the new tax tables for 2025, as well as the new T4 and Relevé 1 requirements. There's new codes that have been added by the government for the 2024 payroll to declare your 2024 payroll on the T4 and Relevé 1. So those codes are now available with the 2025.1 update. So what this means is that you need to make sure before posting the first paycheck or doing your T4 for 2020 in January, you will have to update the system to install 2025.1. A reminder, after doing the update, you still need to update yourself the employee claims manually. So if I go back in the software, I am currently on 2025.1. If I finished my 2024 payroll, I can update my employee claims by going into maintenance, update employee claims, and this is something that you need to do manually. And the software will indicate what are the new basic personal amounts for 2025, but you need to select yourself the employees to update them before posting the first 2025 paycheck. So to do so, you can select all of the employees at once and just click on Update Basic Personal Amounts. And you see this column is updated. You need to do the same thing for the provincial tax. So you can select everyone and update the basic personal amounts, and that updates this column. If you have employees working in different provinces, you need to go by province to update each province individually with the new basic personal amounts. If you have the automatic payroll option in Sage 50, you can print or create your electronic files for the T4s and the Relevé 1 directly with the software. So you can create the electronic files by going into File, Import Export, Electronic Filing, and then Export T4s or Export Relevé 1. What Sage will do is it will create a file that's going to be saved on your computer, but Sage does not upload the information to the government websites by itself. You need to connect yourself. You need to go on the government website, connect to your accounts, and upload those files yourself. And as a reminder, if you have more than 5 employees, the government is asking you to send them those files electronically. So I'm now going to talk about the resources that are available to you directly online. So as I mentioned earlier during the installation, you have an icon that is created directly that brings you directly to a resource website. You can access it also directly from within the software by going into Help, Sage Support, and then Resource Center, or you can search directly in your internet browser. The website is sage.com/resources. This is a great resource. It contains everything linked to Sage 50. This is our official website with all of the information linked to the software. In it, what is really important for us at this time of the year is the year-end center that I mentioned at the beginning. So this is the website that was created following all of the questions that we received in prior years. So for any question that you probably ask yourself about how to do the year-end in Sage 50, the answers are probably in there. There's a lot of information in there. And if I show you directly, so let's go in the software. So in the help menu, Sage Support, Resource Center. So directly it opens the resource center with the information on your software because I went through the software to open it. And this is the section year end that is really important to us today. So if we go in it, what I recommend you to do is to bookmark it because that is probably a place where you're going to go back for all of the steps to prepare the year end. And as I was saying earlier, all of the information about the year end is in there. You have free training in there. All of the announcements, product updates, download links, everything is going to be there. And we can look right now at the checklist. So I mentioned all of those checklists, but in there you're gonna be able to see them again and go step by step with the system to see directly what you have to do and how to do it in the system. So you will have articles explaining everything that you may encounter in each of those steps. So for instance, when I talked about the peer report earlier, you will have an explanation of what is a peer report. And if you do encounter discrepancies on it, how to read them and how to potentially what you will have to tell your accountant when you're going to discuss those issues with them. So everything is really detailed on that page and you can follow those steps just by clicking on next on every page. It is really well done, and that's a really great resource to have for the year end. I'm also going to talk about the Sage Assistant. So the Sage Assistant is a bot that we have recently updated that is directly accessible online. So you can go, access it from help, Sage support, live chat. It is also directly on the resource center where I was just before. And this is the step that you have access to before talking to a live analyst online. And what is good with this assistant, so if I go back in the community hub, I can access it directly there. And basically, if you don't want to go through all of those steps or you're a bit lost in it, you can directly type the questions that you have and it will tell you the answer directly. So for instance, if we again look about discrepancies on the peer report, we can say that there's issue on the peer report and the bot is gonna see what you entered and give us an explanation of the peer report and directly an article on how to read it and maybe how to see the discrepancies, the issues that were on it. So that's easy access to the information. It could be about your end, it could be about anything else. And if it doesn't work, you can ask other questions, or after you can ask to talk to a live analyst after. And if it worked or didn't work directly, you had to rephrase, you can also give us comments on the bot to help us improve it. So that's also a really good resource. So that is it for me on the presentation. So I'm now going to ask Dorcas to help me with your questions.
Thank you so much, Ivana. So you're going to start with the first question, which is going to be, did I receive already my 2025 update? How
So,
continue?
So yes, you can go into file, in your software, you can go into help and then about Sage 50 to check what version you are right now. If you're still in 2024 or if you're already in 2025. But now, if you go into help and check for product update, everyone should have access to the 2025.1 product update. It has been released to everyone this week.
Thank
It
you.
was released this morning, actually, to everyone.
Thank you. So the next question, Did I receive already my 2025 update? My release version is 2024.2. When I check the Sage 50 update, it says your version of Sage is accounting is currently up to date.
Okay, so that probably means that the 2025 software is already installed. So you need to check on your desktop if you have a new 2025 icon, or you can just directly check in your Windows Explorer. Let me go back directly. If you're still on Windows 10 and you go into Sage in there, you can go on to see if you have 2025 already installed. If you're on Windows 11, you can search Sage and it might bring up directly 2025. But if the 2024 software says that you're up to date, that means 2025 is already installed and you should use the 2025 icon.
Thank you. Next question. Can I do invoice for 2025 without closing the fiscal year? My fiscal year and calendar year is the same.
So no, you're not. If you don't start the new year, you will not be able to post invoices in 2025. So to post invoices in 2025, you will have to start the new year, but starting the new year will not close 2024. You will still be able to work in 2024. The only thing is that you will not be able to do the automatic calculations of the 2024 payroll taxes. So make sure that you finish your 2024 payroll before starting the 2025 year, and then you will be able to post your invoices in 2025, but you will still be able to post invoices in 2024 if need be.
Thank you. Nice question. What if I cannot finish the bank reconciliation and enter everything by December 31st? Do you have to do the year end exactly on the 31st?
No. No, so same thing. You even if it's for the bank reconciliation, you will be able to do your 2024 bank reconciliation, even if you start 2025. It's the software allows you to work in the current year. So if you start the new year, the current year will be 2025, and 1 year prior, which will be 2024. If you start 2025, you will be able to work in 2024. You will not be able to work in 2023 anymore. So last year, what is currently last year in 2025 will be 2 years ago. So, but you will be able to do your bank rec, you will be able to post invoices, you will be able to post adjusting transactions in 2024, even if you start 2025. The only thing affected is the payroll tax calculation.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, I think it's about the login information. So the customer wants to know, how will this login information affect the accountant when the client provides a backup for the accountant to prepare their financial statements that are filed with CRA? What email and password will the accountant use?
So if the file has already been updated by your client in 2025.1, it will not do anything for you. You can just open the file directly. The email address, if the file is not shared, the email address is only asked during the conversion. So if the file is already in 2025.1, that is not an issue. If the file has never been linked to the cloud, that is not an issue. The email address is only asked if the file has been connected to the cloud in the past and if you're doing a conversion.
Thank you. On the peer report, it says if it says over, that means we have overpaid, in which case they keep it. If it's under, we owe it. I don't know. I think that's the question.
So
Just
yes, as long as you are in a situation that where the peer report is accurate. So if the number of employees paycheck matches the pay period that is set up. And if the pay report is accurate and the number of paychecks matches the number of pay periods that are set up, and you have an amount that is over or under, you need to consult your accountant to see if you're going to have to do a remittance on top of what you've already remitted, or if I think there's a form that you need to fill out to the CRA so that they can refund you the overpayment.
Thank you. The next question is about the updating on the server.
Mhm.
So the customer wants to know what are the steps to take to update on the server.
So on the server, so again, the server only needs to be updated if you're moving from 2024 or earlier to 2025. If you're already working in 2025.0 and are updating to 2025.1, you do not need to update the server. But what needs to be done on the server is to open the connection manager. And on the server, so the 2025 connection manager is the version 14. If you're still on the version 13 or prior, on the server, you will have an icon right there that says update. And you can directly update the connection manager from there. So this is only if in prior years you only installed the connection manager, you can update it directly from there. If you on the server you've installed the full software, you will have to open the software to go in the file and do the same steps we've seen. But usually, if it's a server, you only have the connection manager, so you can just open the connection manager directly from the taskbar or by searching connection manager. And on the server, if you're not on the correct version, you should have an update icon right there, and you can update it from there.
Thank you, Vanna. I think this is going to be the last question. What is the last day I can download to update the new version 2025.0?
So on our website, if you go on our website, you have the link that is available for 2025.0. So if you go to the resource center that I showed you, you're going to have the links for the 2025.0. You can still install it. There is no issue. The 2025.1 will need to be installed if you're using payroll before doing your first paycheck in 2025. But if you're not using the payroll module, you can wait. You can install the 2025.1 a bit later. If in case, so there is something that we are seeing today, right now in the support department. With an update, the support department is usually extremely busy, and today I can promise you it is extremely busy. So if you do not need to install 2025.1, and if you encounter an issue during the installation and you need to contact us, but you don't have the payroll information, you can push back a bit the installation if you wish, as long as you don't have the payroll. You can stay in 2024, you can install 2025.0, you should work on 2025.0, but 2025.1 can be installed a bit later if you need to, as long as it's before doing the first paychecks of 2025.
Thank you. Do you still have the time for a question or are you good?
Apparently, I'm sorry, we're at the end of the presentation, so we're gonna have to cut it off now. But thank you for your questions, and don't hesitate to go see a resource center because we really updated the resource center and also the community hub with all of the new newest information on all of the information that are coming up with the update. So make sure you check that website and to get all of the information about the update and things that I might have missed during this presentation. Thank you for joining us today and have a great day.